guys can find your seats, we're going to start in about 2 minutes. Thank you. Is that good there? I'm still talking. I got to do this though. When you step up, be careful. There's a conduit here.
Yep.
So I'm kind of just doing that.
Cool.
Yeah. We'll get a couple minutes.
Good.
Great. All right, so welcome, everybody. For those of you who I have not met yet, my name is Jared Lowy. I am the Sports Information Director here at Del Barton School. On behalf of our headmaster, Father Michael Tidd, and our athletic director, Tony Negrin, I just want to welcome all of you to Del Barton School, and specifically here at the Pizzo Family Fieldhouse, home to our Del Barton football, lacrosse, tennis, wrestling, and all 3 track programs. Today we are here to share exciting news about the Super Football Conference, the largest high school football conference in the country with 112 members. This morning you will hear from Super Football Conference President Tom Malahy, Accelerate Sports Ventures CEO Doug Phillis, Alliance Orthopedics CEO Nick Buffano, St. Peter's Prep Athletic Director Rich Hansen, and the voice of the Super Football Network, Conference Network, Mike Quick. Just a few things. After hearing from our speakers, we're going to open up to questions from the audience. Just raise your hand. I'm going to ask you maybe to repeat your question a couple times just so everyone can hear you. And please make sure you state your name and your affiliation, followed by your question. At the conclusion of the press conference, our speakers will be available for one-on-ones and photos. First up, I welcome the president of the Super Football Conference, Tom Malahy.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming out today on this beautiful Wednesday. Definitely want to thank Del Barton and their staff for hosting this. It's a historic moment, and where better would you want to do that than this beautiful facility? Before we get started, just wanted to thank our executive director, Ron Anello, former Montclair athletic director, soon to be retired, athletic director Dennis Nelson, who was our assistant director, first vice president Wayne Garino, from first vice president Brendan McGovern from Bergen Catholic, and Wayne Garino from Montville's our second vice president. This was something that this is about 10 years in the making. This is something that we sat around tables many times, met with many different people, definitely going back a decade ago, where we spun our wheels. We knew we had a product. We knew we had the best non-public schools in the country. We know we have some of the best public schools in the state. And I just want to thank our first president, Joe Pyro from Nutley, our second president, Rich Hansen from St. Peter's Prep, Dennis Nelson, who's our third president, and John Ferraccio was our last president. I just took over a couple of weeks ago. So because of their vision and the executive committee's visions that they put together, we are where we are. So we sat around looking for sponsors. We spent a lot of time on that. It didn't take us long to realize that we're pretty good athletic directors. We're not the best business people. So we were able to loop in with Doug Phillis and Accelerate Sports Ventures, and he took us to an entire new level. His professionalism and dedication has been unmatched. First sponsor has been our best sponsor, our most important sponsor, Nick Buffano and Alliance Orthopedics. And I can't say enough about the work that they do. Just as an example, I was there for 6 months rehabbing. John Ferraccio's been there rehabbing. And most recently, I just sent my father there last week. So that's how much I really think about Nick and his team and the product that they put together. So this is a great opportunity for us to double down on everything that we talked about 10 years ago, where we're going to showcase the best high school football teams in the country. We're going to showcase some of the best public schools in the state of New Jersey. So we are really, really excited about that. We're excited about bringing our relationships with the New York and Philadelphia Catholic school leagues together and continue our great relationships that we've been building with all involved. So again, thank you, and it's an honor to be a part of this day.
All right. Thanks so much, Tom. So as Tom mentioned, Accelerate Sports Ventures is a critical partner for the Super Football Conference. Please welcome their CEO, Doug Phillis.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Today is a great day for the Super Football Conference, and on behalf of Accelerate Sports Ventures, we're just thrilled to be able to support them and support the launch of the SFC network. We are extremely grateful to be partners with the Super Football Conference. One of the things that was really important in my life was high school football. And I know that when I get around these ADs and high school football coaches, they share the same values, right? Teaching young men, and now teaching young men and women with the Flag League, lessons that you're going to be able to take with you in life. And the thing that we're going to do with the Super Football Conference Network is we're going to showcase high-quality storytelling combined with a high-quality production, right? We think that is our difference maker. You're going to learn about the players, the coaches, the communities, the cheerleaders, the band, all the things that make high school football great. And think about your communities when people come together on Friday night or Saturday afternoon to support these young men and women. So couldn't be more excited about that storytelling, and couldn't be more excited about the launch of the SFC network. What exactly is the SFC network? It is the home to premier high school football starting in New Jersey. We believe that with high quality production and with great storytelling, we're going to have a winning formula for success. And that formula is put together with unbelievable partners. So when you learn about the SFC network, you're going to learn about, and we can't wait to introduce you to our great production partner from Long Island, Varsity Media. These guys do an incredible job. The due diligence that we did on all sorts of companies in the production world was significant, months and months and months, and couldn't be more excited to have Ben Turchin and his team here streaming the press conference and are going to be arm in arm with us as we launch the network. So thank you, Ben and Varsity Media. Very excited to have Huddle here, Rich Upson. Huddle, the sports leader in technology. They're going to be the backbone of the network. Very excited to have Prolific Sports Labs here. If you guys have ever looked at the Instagram and of the Super Football Conference, there's all kinds of great videos and photographs that highlight our student athletes and our coaches. It's tremendous content for them to utilize to create their own personal brands, which is something I want to touch on here in a second. And so I can't thank Nick Coppola and his team at Prolific Sports Labs enough. And then one of the key ingredients is the fact we're going to have professional announcers, right? We're going to have multiple camera operators. We're going to have graphics, a scoreboard. We're going to have sideline reporters, right? And the key when you're going to put together a team like that is having someone who can lead it. And couldn't be more excited to have Mike Quick here with us, who's going to be the voice of the SFC network. Why now, right? Why are we launching the Super Football Conference Network now? I'm going to get to that in 1 second. The Super Football Conference Network can be found on the superfootballconferencenetwork.com. It is, we couldn't come up with a longer domain. You will be able to subscribe. Right now, we've already had people subscribe this morning, which is fantastic. It's a $99 subscription with a promo code SFC. You can get it for $79 with taxes and fees. And you're going to then have access to the home of Premier High School Football. We launch in week 0 in August of 2025, so we can't wait to get started. So we're taking subscriptions from now through kickoff, and can't wait for this thing to get off the ground. And Super Football Conference network.com, you can find the schedule, find ways to subscribe, and as we continue to build out the network, we're going to have more and more content. So again, why now? If you work in college sports like Accelerate does, you know last week was an historic day for college athletes. they're able to now share revenue from the colleges. A historic settlement took place last Friday. And so high school athletes now have an opportunity to take advantage of life-changing opportunities. And so I applaud the Super Football Conference for being ready at this moment. We're going to provide high-quality film so that these athletes can be recruited. There's a tremendous amount of unrest in the recruiting process right now because of the transfer portal. We're going to be able, with the relationships, with the footage, with the video, to help athletes, not only the elite ones, have life-changing opportunities because of the revenue sharing and the NIL opportunities at the next level, but also guys who maybe are looking for a home to play college football, right? How can we make sure that they're getting the Division I, Division II, Division III offers? And so the exposure that the Super Football Conference Network is going to bring is going to impact lives. And that's what I hear from these athletic directors and head coaches all the time. How can we impact lives? How can we make things better for our athletes? And the network is going to do that. The last partner I want to talk about and bring up is Alliance Orthopedic and Nick Buffano. 3 years ago, we started a relationship with Alliance that I can only describe as remarkable. They've been such a believer in high school sports, developing young men and women, helping us educate them, helping us teach them about injury prevention, teaching them about how to get stronger and faster. They've got a sports performance team that they're launching with Alliance Performance, which is going to be unmatched. Can't wait for you guys to hear about that. But we couldn't be here today if it wasn't for Nick and the team at Alliance. And I want to welcome up Nick Buffano, the first sponsor of the Super Football Conference Network.
Thank you, everybody. What a beautiful place. So, Del Barton, thank you for hosting such a great event. 3 years ago, when I sat with Doug, Dennis, and Danny, I was really adamant about what Alliance can do and what the purpose of what our vision was, and it was to be there to support and be better every day for athletes. Student athletes. I was a student athlete. In orthopedics, probably 90% of our team members are student athletes. And most importantly, not every athlete becomes a pro in pro sports, but they become a pro in professionalism. Athletic directors, athletic trainers, orthopedic surgeons. And we see in an industry where, you know, everything is hyped up by just athletes making the NFL or something, and they think that that's their pinnacle. And there's so much more. And we want to be there to support them in any way possible so they can be professionals at any level and ensure that we are there for their guidance. And when we talked about one of the most important things in the whole agreement, it was the streaming service. This is something where I thought would give the kids exposure, give the parents exposure. As a parent and you have student athletes, you know, pretty busy and can't make all the events, and having the ability to stream and see those events is really something I thought was instrumental. And, you know, for me, I think that is one of the most important things that today really resonates, is because the Super Football Conference is going to allow these young men who are committed to being better every day to have the platform to really shine through, especially at these high-level high schools that are really taking that precedent, like Del Barton, like St. Peter's, Bergen, and so on and so forth. I'm here with Joe Taggart, who's on our performance team, and Joe will tell you he has many platforms that he trains professional athletes. So we have the team that really is supporting the needs for these young athletes to make them into the best of the best athletes. He had the opportunity to train Saquon Barkley the year before he won the Super Bowl championship. So the talent that we have to support every athlete, every parent, so on and so forth in our ecosystem is really critical for why we're here and why we're supporting the Super Football Conference and many other conferences with Doug. But, you know, today really resonates because I think this is going to make everything elevate, not only for the Super Football Conference, but for the whole U.S. as a whole, and really put all conferences and all high school football on notice that this conference is the best, and there's a reason for it because they are focused on being better every day. 10 years, like Tom said, 3 years when I sat with Danny and Doug about how this conference was going to evolve, and I was supporting it not just from a paycheck, but from a commitment to make sure that we're also going to be there as a guiding light to make sure that anything that we can do, we will do to help support them to make sure that they execute their vision, and that's why we're here today. So thank you very much. This is an awesome day for the Super Football Conference, the Super Football Network, and all the athletes, all the athletic directors, and coaches of the platform. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Nick. Now I'm going to welcome up here former St. Peter's Prep football coach and current athletic director, Rich Hansen.
Still weird to hear former football coach, but thank you. Thanks to Del Barton. What a great day and a great venue. Awesome. Doug called me and asked me to say a few words, and really this is the history lesson part of this. This is an unbelievably monumental day for the Super Football Conference in ways that a lot of you don't even and can't even fathom. And it stems back from, and many of you know, years ago, I've been the AD for 36 years, and probably for all of my 36 years, there's been a ton of contention between public and non-public schools. And about 13 years ago, the state put together a committee to try and solve that. The committee wasn't just a regular committee, it was administrators from Ramsey to Richland with the charge to figure it out. And I still think about those days. It was an amazing committee. Dennis was on the committee, Joe was on the committee. After months of meetings in Robbinsville, the frustration grew thick, tempers began to flare, and they asked us, it was great. I mean, I loved it, and I know Joe loved it. We had a ball at those meetings, but it was rough. And they asked us if we could solve something, and Joe, at some point, did what Joe does, and went off a little bit, and they asked us to, in a side room, to go solve it. And I remember a million phone calls and meetings, brainstorming, talking to different people. Dennis was in on all those meetings. I think, John, you were at some of them as well. We volunteered to come up with a solution, finally come up with a solution. And Joe came up with something, I came up with something, and we met at a diner after a meeting where it was really crazy in Robbinsville, and we kind of put together the combination of our ideas. And now, when you look back on it, it was months and months and months of preparation just to get it to the point where we could have it considered to be a solution. And it was. It was the North Jersey Super Football Conference. So much stuff had to be done. The thing took off. We got the NJSI's blessing. A board had to be selected, constitution devised, league coalition plans had to be made, funds had to be secured, a ton of stuff. And I can tell you that none of it would have gotten done had it not been for Joe Pyro. And I really, really mean that. He was our first president. His vision was to make it as big, and if you know Joe, like big is big, like as big as it can be. And I was on board with him, and I think Dennis was on board with him. I wasn't sure if it could get done. In New Jersey, to get 112 schools, 6 different counties, 4 different conferences to agree on topping for pizza is difficult. But to get everybody to buy into doing this way was an amazing feat. And we really worked hard on it. It was a big agenda. And that big agenda grew to media days, scheduled release shows, clinics, Coaches Association formation. Our scheduling is done by somebody who is the Rain Man of scheduling in the country, Dan Vivino. Does an amazing job. And Ronnie Anello has been in it from the beginning, has done an amazing job just putting the pieces together and balancing all the balls in the air. When I look back on it now, I still think, wow, we did the state such a favor, because you never hear about the conflict between public and non-public schools, right? That's gone. You know why? Because of this conference. And I think more than anything, that has contributed to the fabric of society in New Jersey high school football. The things that we've done have been copied by other conferences. All of a sudden, the Shore Conference has a media day. All of a sudden, the Shore Conference has a scheduled release show. They didn't even think about it 10 years ago or 8 years ago, right? It started here with the guys in this room. This network was part of the big picture, big thinking vision. And as Tommy said, we've sat around and talked about it for 10 years. And to get to this point is so exciting. It's another box checked. another box of 1 million boxes that I didn't know if 5 of them could get checked. So to be here, to be a part of it, to be asked to talk about the Super Conference just a little bit is really, last night I didn't sleep because this is such a big thing for us. And to have, us be the Super Football Conference Network and have it piloted by Mike Quick, a good friend, renowned supporter of New Jersey high school football. I can tell you that I can't wait for him to put a face on it. And I can't wait for the first show. And I can't wait for the professionalism and our kids in schools and coaches to benefit from what will be done each and every week. Whether it's a non-public game or a top public game, it's going to be an amazing experience and exposure for our kids, and that's what this is about, right? The landscape has changed so much in high school football. Even from 5 years ago, my last year as a head football coach. It has changed so much, and so you have to change with it to help kids, and that's what this network is going to do. Exposure, top shelf, level 1 kind of exposure that kids are going to be able to reap benefits from, and programs and coaches. Nothing will be promoted like our football teams and our athletes in the state of New Jersey. And this is just the beginning, and hopefully we can expand this and do other things with it. We were talking before about other possibilities. I think, and I hope they all exist. But this format does one more important thing. It solidifies the Super Football Conference as the best football conference in the United States. And I can say that because I've coached in games across the country. And I've sat in rooms and had battles with Texas guys and California guys and Florida guys. And I can tell you, our product is as good or better than anybody in the country. And this makes it and takes it to the next level. So I appreciate everybody's hard work on this. I appreciate being a part of it. And I know that this is going to be just an amazing experience for everyone. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Coach. Finally, I'm going to give an introduction to a man that probably doesn't need an introduction, but when it comes to high school sports, there is no one that is more recognized around this tri-state area than Mike Quick. So please, I'd like to welcome up to the podium the official voice of the Super Football Network Conference Network, Mike Quick. You got it.
I'm sitting next to Hanson, right? And he's going through all of his notes. I'm like, if Rich Hanson gets up here and speaks off notes, then this thing isn't going to work. We mic'd all the coaches for all those years. When we put a mic, look me in the eyes, okay? And then when they're getting ready to play Hudson Catholic and, why am I drawing a blank? Rob Stern. He'd be ready to go. And those thin walls out there at Cave and Point, and he's like, all right, guys, here we go. Hold on. Let's see what this guy has to say. And they'd listen to him. We're going to lose to our little brother? And off they would go. This conference for years, Cavallo and I have fought this forever. 36 years ago, we started covering high school sports. I had never been to a football game in the state of New Jersey. I'm a Connecticut guy. And in 1990, I come to my first New Jersey football game at Kennedy Stadium, St. Peter's against Hoboken. And I'm watching the hitting go on, being a Connecticut guy, Fairfield County. And the guy I'm with, Fooch, a lot of you know him, I was like, this is insane. This hitting is unreal. He goes, really? It's normal. I'm like, in Connecticut, it's a felony. Like, I had never, and I knew from that moment, this is different. Everybody thinks their home base is the best. We're the best here. We're the best here. No, we fought it forever. New Jersey has the best high school football in the tri-state, bar none. When we were doing our games of the week on MSG Network all those years ago, we'd air them on Sunday mornings, and we'd have 13 or 14 games. And every year, 8 of the games would be New Jersey. And I'll tell you how it would start. Where's Ramapo playing Hoboken? See, everybody thinks that this whole thing started in the Catholic schools. That's not true. When we rolled in, it was Elizabeth, Union, Hoboken, Wayne Hills, Ramapo. I'll say this, our brand of high school football on the TV side, which gets us here to today, was built in large part to those Ramapo, Hoboken, Wayne Hills teams. There was this great infatuation with a left-handed kid, number 2. His dad was pretty good, wore number 11, Chris Sims, and that took off. We did a Hoboken Ramapo state championship game on a Saturday, aired tape delay, Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. It blew away Devils and Islanders ratings for that week. At one point, we hit at 1.17 on a Sunday morning. for a high school football game. Sunday morning, when MSG Varsity was created, and this is one of the ideas that Cavallo and Doug have, you know, and Danny, because he's gonna have, and Coach is right, you're the wizard behind the curtain. It's unbelievable, Dan, what you do. We did a standalone Bergen-Bosco game on MSG Varsity on a Saturday night. I think Peppers was a sophomore back then, may have been no, he was a freshman because Darius and Leonte were on the team. It did 63,000 households on a Cablevision system. There was no Comcast there. There was no Time Warner. 63,000 blew away pro sports events that night. There is a brand. You have it forever. Coaches around the tri-state. I'll tell a little story, Doug. So Bellport High School, Joe Sipp, they just win the Long Island Class II championship, and they finished, they're number 10 in the tri-state. They just win the Long Island Class II championship. And he's screaming at me when I go to congratulate him. He goes, "That's bullshit, Mike. We're better than those New Jersey teams." I said, "Well, Coach, listen, next week there's a big stadium. They call it Giant Stadium. It seats 76,000. You can get a ticket, I promise you, and if you can't, I'll get you in. You're not on par. You're lucky you're number 10. It can't be that good." He goes to the game. He's like, "Dear God." Ansonia High School, small school, great small school program up in Connecticut. Phenomenal. Bosco's winning all these national championships. We're doing a little podcast show. They actually said, "We can beat Don Bosco because we've been undefeated in our last 48 games." I actually said this on the air. There ain't enough body bags in New Haven County for you to play Don Bosco. Everybody's jealous because of the greatness, because of the athletes. But I think what makes this super conference so good are the coaches and the way they care and how much they put into it, okay? But as Coach said, it's hard, man. It is really hard now with athletes. So maybe this could even be a policing tool, because I know this, if people are acting like fools during the game, I'll call them out. I can promise you that, okay? This is the greatest team game ever. So let's take the team game back, and we can do this with this Super Football Conference. Listen, everybody thought when the Big Ten Network started, oh, what a joke. And that first night, Appalachian State beat Michigan. Wow, they had something. Boom. That game never would have been on TV. And then Appalachian State beats Michigan, and off the Big Ten Network went. Is this the Big Ten Network? No. Does it have the bones of the Big Ten Network? Sure it could. But a lot of work has to go into it. A lot of work. So when we call as announcers, producers, and everything, we need your help. Doug wants stories. We're not mind readers. You have to help us. Coach knows this. A lot of you guys, we go in, we do games. We'll sit with you for an hour and a half, 2 hours on a Wednesday for a Friday night game. And a lot of times, it goes like this. I don't have the time. Just give us 20 minutes. You'll be fine. And every single time, the call goes in to the athletic department, the AD, the principal. Hey, can you get somebody to cover my class? Because they love it. Because they know, like the way Cavallo tells stories. Great storyteller. These games, for as much the parents, the grandparents, and I always say this, the kids don't realize it now, but you make the plays, we'll make your memories. So now when those kids have kids, they actually get to show, you know, their kids what they did. A quick story about how, and this is what's great about you, Nick, you understood the vision. Not a lot of people do right away when it comes to advertising. So Jimmy gets me a meeting up there at Snapple. Our shows were taken off the air. In 2004, Cablevision took all the shows, 7 shows off the air, 6 professional, 1 high school. How are we gonna sell it? We're gonna get it back. We're not gonna sell it on spreadsheets and stuff like that. We're gonna sell it on heart. So we go up there to Snapple. And I'm always about, hey, where'd you go to high school? You go out, sit at a bar, where'd you go to high school? Now all of a sudden you're in an hour conversation. So the lady walks in, I can't remember if her name was Donna or Nancy. And we knew we were up, it was a favor. And she walks in, she goes, all right, let's get this over with. I was like, all right, so we have a sales guy from the Garden, he's got a spreadsheet, that ain't gonna work. Donna, where'd you go to high school? I went to Pearl River. Oh, you're a Lady Pirate? Yes. Did you play anything? What are we doing here? Like, no, I just wanna know, did you play anything? She goes, I did. What sports did you play? I played field hockey, volleyball, and lacrosse. Oh, that's pretty cool. Did you ever make all Section 1? She goes, really, I don't know what we're doing here now. I'm just trying to get to know you. She goes, I did. I said, did you ever get your name in the Journal News? And now I got her. She says, that's so funny you say that. I was at my mom's house 2 weeks ago, and we were going through the scrapbook, and I see my name in the paper and everything. I said, wow, that's pretty cool, right? She goes, yeah, it was. I said, well, you asked me when you came through the door 3 minutes ago, why are we here? I said, we're here because could you imagine if we could have put you on TV instead of just the newspaper, what you could have showed your kids as you got older? That's why we're here. I need 150. She goes, I can't do that. I can do 75. I said, you could do 125. She goes, you don't play fair. I said, I know, I don't. You talk to her in the heart. And that's what this network is going to do. They're going to talk to people. They're going to make them feel good about their kids. They're going to make them feel good about their schools. I think one of the great things about this network is now you have the ability to do 4 or 5 games a weekend. There are flex games, right? And as the year goes on, it's life, man. The better teams get on. So there is the ability to flex. And as I said in our conference call yesterday, we, as a network, will never flex anybody out. You, as your performance, will flex yourself out. So the better you play, if you're good, in week 6, 7, 8, 9, you're on. You struggle, we're going somewhere else. Okay? So I think right now the plan is to reveal the first 4 weeks. I think that's what we want to do, right? It's on the website. So the first 4 weeks, you'll see some of the games are there already. All right? Obviously, one of the things with Saturday games, Saturdays are tougher because there's not as many games to be played on Saturday. I think the Saturday schedule is terrific. Now, obviously, you know, there's a lot of Bergen Catholic. Don't see St. Joe's on there yet, but maybe that'll come soon. We'll see what happens. And we'll go from there. But it's going to be a really fun schedule. Everybody will be taken care of, no question about it. I think the only week where I didn't see a public game was week 3 of the season, because that's the New York-New Jersey crossover. But other than that, there is at least one public school game every week. Now, there's one guy here I want to introduce, Mark from the New York Yankees. Mark, stand up. All right, Mark's here from the Yankees, right? The New York Yankees, the brand, the whole thing. Yeah, I know they're on the other side of the bridge and everything, but he's here today to see if there's any synergy with bringing high school football games from New Jersey up to the Bronx. Now, when I talked to Mark before this thing started, it doesn't time out exactly with the way the regular season ends, because by the time you flip it over from baseball, we're talking early November, right?
We assume we're gonna make the World Series every year.
Well, there you go.
If we don't make the playoffs, it could be early October.
Okay. I think something, and this is now, again, he's here because of this FFC network. I think it would be absolutely outside of the box, totally cool, 2 years from now, that there are at least 3 New Jersey high school football championships, New Jersey high school football championships played at Yankee Stadium. And if that wouldn't create a buzz, I don't know what would. Who cares if you're not playing it at MetLife for 1 weekend and you got to play it in the Bronx? That is branding. That is marketing. Could you imagine your company name all over the Bronx? That's what this conference does. It's allowed opportunities that in a million years you never could have thought would have happened, ever. And that's what this is. Everybody will be taken care of. We ask for the utmost cooperation. One of the biggest things is press box accessibility. Jimmy, and you're running around, right, this summer? So when you see the schedule, know that you're gonna be getting a visit because the press box is crucial. Wi-Fi capabilities, the whole thing. We don't want any breakups in this. We want to roll in there, tell stories. 7 o'clock game. Ben and his team will be there by 3. Okay? Little inconvenience, not much for what's done. All right? And thank God that Hanson did not read those notes. It went on forever. It would have gone. Oh, funny story, real fast. Sorry, he makes me laugh. So, Richie. I always like to, when I go to a game, just kind of get a bump with a coach, you know, right before the game. I like to get there early. And as he said, we have a very good relationship. And almost got to be funny because he'd have those games at Caven Point, and I'd roll in there. And you could see, when I was rolling, he did not want to talk to me. But he would do it just because he would do it. Yeah, boom, boom, boom. We're doing the Super Football Conference schedule reveal show 3 years ago, right? What was the steakhouse, Franklin? Franklin Steakhouse, yeah, Joe always, as Rich says, always gets great places. So we're about 30 seconds from going, and he walks over to me, he goes, how you doing? I said, I'm doing well. No, like, seriously, like, so what do you want to talk about? I'm like, what do you mean, what do you want to talk about? I said, he goes, no, come on, how do you like it? I'm like, how do you like what? He goes, how do you like getting ready to do a show and somebody's coming up to you like you do when I'm doing a game? That's what it is. That's the relationship through the years that we've built with coaches, we'll continue to build, and you got something really special here. It ain't gonna be easy. It's gonna be a lot of hard work, and we all have to do it together to make it great, because remember, nobody ever thought Appalachian State would beat Michigan. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Mike. So now we're going to open up to questions. Just please raise your hand. I'll pick you if you can just raise your voice a little bit. If we need to, you can ask your question again and then pass it on to the next person. So, in the back.
So if I got basically a loaded question. So big state sports and all the rest of them, NFHS, you done with that? Are we still use that? Like NFHS to watch the games, and we use SFC now, right?
So I would say our schedule is going to be 4 games every weekend. So the first 4 weeks are on the website, superfootballconferencenetwork.com. When it comes to games that are being selected by the conference, we're going to notify you on those games. I mean, I would tell you candidly, we're not opposed to the surveillance footage, right? Because we know that we're going to have professional announcers, graphics, scoreboard, high quality production. So I think with each school, we're going to put a contract in place and make it work.
But loaded question. We want that flex game week 2, see the road rolling. Big game. It is a big game in the county. It really is. Asheville McCoy, records go out the window. Requires it. I don't like it. It's violent, but it is what it is.
Well, I appreciate that. Mike Quick told me that people were going to be vying for these flex games, and here we go.
I was first one to say it, so nobody else said that yet. So, and just to throw it out, there's no cherry on top. Coach Anthony had me like revved up ready to go to the locker room. But Mike Quick, I'm really excited. You know that Chicago is. Hopefully, like the Adam Schefter dropping news and doing that. The volume, you can do that for him.
Thank you.
Dropping news and rumors.
Thank you. I second the Cedar Grove Verona game. There you go.
Thank you.
Next.
Hey guys, so obviously the big marquee matchups are ones you'll want to see and gravitate towards, but how are you guys going with delineating your inventory to some of the rivalry games that are important in those areas, but not necessarily a Bosco Bergen head to head?
Yeah, so I would say we're working really, really closely with Danny, who's the schedule maker for the conference, and sit around as a group. I would tell you that the selection of the games, 99% comes from the conference, right? In their decision making, they know the football matchups that work best. I think one of the things Tom mentioned in our call recently was, each week we have such a great product in the Super Football Conference. Like, we have way more than 4 every week, but we know that we can go out and nail 4 to get this network off the ground. There's going to be opportunity for some of those additional games.
I mean, we could probably pick 8 to 10 games every week. That would be marquee games. But the reason why we're only going out for the first 4 weeks is because sometimes there's injuries, sometimes teams are not as good as you think they're going to be. So you need that 3-4 week window to really understand what's going on.
Anybody else?
I'm assuming that once this gets off the ground, Doug, that this can also have a student-driven element to it, and where the students, not just the athletes, but the students within each high school can contribute, whether it's as interns, whether it's as creating content and forwarding that content to make it more of an entire community type thing, correct?
Yeah, I totally agree, Joe. I think in the conversations that we've had with high schools and high school athletic directors already, there's already been discussions of how can we create synergies, internships, educational opportunities, right? When you have folks like Varsity Media, Huddle, Mike Quick, and that professionalism surrounding this network, the students who are not playing football also are going to be able to take advantage of this. So we're really, really excited about that.
So it's really in line with the Super Football Conference mission as, empowering all students, not just high school football players, which I think is, you guys should be commended for.
Joe, 2 years ago, SNY did the Xavier Corner Prep game up in the Bronx on Thanksgiving morning. One of the things, both schools have pretty good television student-run networks. So when we were up there preparing for the games, meeting with the coaches, we set aside about 2 hours to work with both schools and they're both of the sideline guys, did live TV, had never done it before, and, we work with them, that's what it is, like, listen, much longer am I gonna do this? I don't know, I'm 61 years old, it's torch passing, just pass the torch. Like, Jared was telling me that he has an unbelievable announcer up here right now at Del Barton, so yeah, I love working with kids, like, I may be old, heavy, and no hair, but I'll tell you what, I still think the heck of it. And you can come teach kids with me, so, yeah, I love teaching kids, like that's a whole facet of this thing that I would love to do, and I welcome the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, Joe, in the first meeting with varsity, that was actually my question, because I know at Clifton, we have a live stream program that involves teachers and kids, and I know other schools do as well. So I think that's a summer project we talked about, especially because they're based in New York, so they are going to be more people based in Jersey, especially with the amount of ground that we're covering.
Like I said, you all should be commended for keeping in line with the Super Football Conference mission. It's always been a mission, to empower students, empower learning, and empower education. So
You've drummed that into our head enough, Joe.
what's that?
You've drummed that into our head enough.
Do we have another question in the back?
Yeah, I got one question, here we go. Are you guys gonna be doing like, preseason shows, signing day, visiting practices during the OTAs period? And then are you going to any like 7-on-7s? Like there's a 7-on-7 going on, like we have a big one, with 16 teams in our facility, yeah, promoting guys. So, 7-on-7 we got going on, so there's a big one going on, are you guys gonna be coming to stuff like that?
I will never go to a 7-on-7 purposely,
Just
because
throw it out
nobody
there,
wins
I hate it, I want the
championships.
pads on, just throw it out there. Like,
Maybe other guys will, I'm not going. I'm not
Yeah, but would
going.
you guys do signing days, and would you be at practices, like, to talk to the coaches and see who's the main guy, or?
I would say you're touching on a lot of things that we're working on at the moment. We are anchored by Young Man of the Year, as well as our media day at MetLife Stadium, through our partnerships with the New York Jets, and I know the Jets and the Giants are here today. Thank you guys very much, along with the New York Yankees. I mean, it's incredible, the support that we have from the New York professional sports organizations. There will absolutely be people visiting practice. There will be, we're working on a weekly podcast. We're working on a bunch of different things. So we're hopeful to really, again, create special storytelling around the network and for the players and the coaches.
Like the top 10 in the SFC, like plays of the week, coaches have it, huddle, whatever, send it to you guys go over that, and something like that.
We're working on all that.
So I'm excited.
Yeah.
To answer your question, Coach, any game I'm doing, I will be there at practice.
Listen, I can't wait, I hope you come to ours, I hope you don't duck out, It's gonna be fun.
I will be there. If we're doing it, I'll be there.
Absolutely.
About NJ.com, because they usually take streaming rights over everybody else. Like, us here at Bart last year, we were big state sports, but NJ.com said, we're gonna stream the game, and then big state sports step aside. So what happens with that, if they pick any of our games, if they pick the Bernie Boston games, is the SFC gonna step aside for NJ.com?
I would say, Dom, we don't plan to step aside for anybody. I would tell you, some people have postseason rights and things like that, but when it comes to the regular season, we feel really strong about the conference and the product that we're gonna put together each week.
I got two. One is for out-of-state matchups, or anyone who is not a member of the Super Football Conference. Are there any rights issues or anything with those matchups? Will those have to be kept off the inventory?
So out of state, we're hosting, right? So as the hosts, we'll have the streaming rights, and we're gonna have in week 2, Mike, the New York, New Jersey game. So it's on our schedule on the website, Perry, and yeah, no, we're excited, and I think New York is gonna be an attractive market for us.
And then quick follow-up, is there any plan of making any, highlight reels available for local television stations if we wanted to feature a game of the week on Monday after you guys wrap up your inventory?
Hell yeah. You're gonna put it over the air? Yeah, they'll whip up you some highlights. No doubt. No question. Absolutely.
Anybody else? Question? Absolutely.
I have a few. Darren Cooper from the Bergen Record. Is there an app?
No, not this year.
They're planning to have one.
In discussions.
Okay. What are the metrics we're going to use to judge that this is a success?
I think first and foremost from the conference, Tom, and I don't want to answer for you, but creating exposure for the athletes is number one priority, right? Especially with what I touched on, life-changing opportunities now available to them. from the business side, we're hoping not to lose our shirt.
But in all seriousness, this is a
taking it-
business proposition.
Yeah, we're
Somebody's putting up some money, so.
We are. We're taking a tremendous risk. That's the belief we have in this conference and the state of New Jersey and the folks that will support the local community. But, yeah, we're on the hook.
Yeah, Darren, just the next step from when we started getting our sponsorships, particularly our larger ones with Alliance. We started, as you know, with the media days with the Jets and Young Man of the Year, also with the Jets, and we've really, done a really good job of highlighting those types of things, especially with the winners getting their personal stories out. So this is just one more step in the right direction. Is it an expensive proposition? Yes, but that's why we've put the team together that you see here. We're all very confident, and you also know who's behind the scenes and how competent they are. So it's almost like an educated risk.
Mr. Quick,
Yes.
this is not your first venture into this type of, and big fan, why is this one gonna work?
Because the last one didn't.
Tell me,
And
go
there's no-
on.
The last one didn't work. And we ain't gonna fail. And I say we, not these guys, me. I got into something that we shouldn't have gotten into, and this will not fail. Because of what you heard here, and I'm gonna tell you, the eyes looking back, Darren, I can see it. And why should it fail? If you're the best, if you have the best product in the tri-state, in the New York market, how can it fail? If you have the right infrastructure, it cannot fail. We can control the infrastructure. We can't control blowouts. But I can tell you this, we'll be controlling, I know if I'm working a game with Cavallo or Danny Long or Dylan Butler, I know this, we'll be prepared to talk for blowouts. We'll make it entertaining. So I don't think it can fail because I think the product is the envy, and I can only use the two other states that surround it, New York and Connecticut. This is the envy of all the tri-state area.
Is it because it's a little bit different, because it's like a subscription model too, so it's kind of like almost like a pay-per-view?
I don't get it. It's subscription, no subscription. I'm gonna call the games I don't know. The business model part of it, you gotta talk to the smart people. I'm just the guys out there calling games. So if it was to me, I love the product. I'd give everything for free, but that's not the reality of it.
One last.
Absolutely.
Eventually, how much original program would you love to have? Like, a daily, a season, a daily show, a game day kind of show? We're here at Del Bar, and then what big, what's the dreamscape?
Yeah, I would say realistically, we want to have a podcast every week in kind of the home area of where the featured matchup of the week is, similar to a college radio show that you would see. I think the vision, again, the Super Football Conference has always thought big. They would love a game day show or a night before. So I think trying to strive towards that would be great. And then I think integrating with the students, right, there's so many talented young students and people working in the multimedia space at schools. How can we get them to help us tell more stories? We want to be able to tell the stories of these young people, the coaches, again, the cheerleaders. I mean, you can go to the Young Man of the Year. If you can go to the Young Man of the Year award and walk out without crying because of what some of these young people have to overcome and deal with, you're a better person than I am. And so I think being able to highlight that more year-round, Darren, is really a priority.
Darren, when this meeting ends, if I was you, I'd go talk to Doug and Tom about being part of it. I think when you make your picks and stuff like that, that should be online now too. Like I read it all the time, and the great thing about that stuff is it pisses people off. When people are happy, people don't care. People care.
Hanson looks pissed off right now.
That's his happy face.
He always does. But I mean, honestly, I think I don't want to speak for these guys, but when it grows, they're going to need other contributors to something like this. So your question is perfect. How does it grow? There's people in this room who can help it grow through their content.
Any other questions?
From a girls' flag perspective, do you plan on doing something to a similar scale in the spring in terms of coverage?
We plan to have the girls' flag on the network, which we're really, really excited about. I think, girls' flag football is the fastest growing sport in America, fastest growing sport in New Jersey high school athletics. Really appreciate all the support we've received. And we're gonna really put our foot down to drive that, right? We started this year, we had a media day for girls' flag football. We everything that we can replicate, we would love to be able to do.
Anybody else? All right. Sure.
Who's gonna be your Joe Stern? You know, you guys went back and forth.
Joe Stern, he was smart. You know what, we should hire Joe Stern. That guy was good. I don't know. Let's just get through the games first, Coach, before we start building out the shows, making them good. But Joe, you're good. Joe Stern was fun.
Fan.
He was fun. I like him a lot more than I like his dad. I love Rob. Send him back.
Oh, we have one more question right here.
Last question, what about if the game's not picked, are we still allowed to stream our own games online?
Yes,
If it's not
yes,
picked, we can stream our own games, right?
absolutely.
All right. So that wraps up for today. I just want to thank you guys all for joining us at the press conference. And as a reminder, please be sure to check out the superfootballconferencenetwork.com. Thank you for your time and have a good day.